Okay, hello and welcome back. Welcome, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome to this training session on SAP Business Technology Platform training with HANA XSA development or HANA development on top of SAP BTP Cloud Foundry along with Cloud Application Programming Model. I will be your trainer for the next 40 hours for this training. And in this training, we are going to go through the core concepts of Cloud Application Programming Model on BTP, including a complete end-to-end full stack application development, which will include all the different layers, including the database. And predominantly, we'll be working on HANA database. We will be learning all the required development tools and the setup needed to get started with cloud programming in BTP. We will also discuss the frameworks which we will be utilizing throughout this journey to build an end-to-end application along with security concepts of BTP Cloud. This is a hands-on training. We will have lots of exercises, and you all will be following these exercises through me through this entire duration of the training. So if you will have any issues, you will also get a chance to share your screen, and then you will be able to we will be able to resolve these issues right away. At the end of this training, we will also have a simple way of understanding where does this BTP development fits in our project. How will it help us? We will try to see how can we perhaps migrate your existing assets which we are currently having in on-premise HANA to also the BTP by gelling up ourselves into the CAPM development model. So that will be the goal for this training. Before I start, I would like to start quickly with my introduction. My name is Anubhav. I have total 18 years of experience in the world of SAP. Started my career with PepsiCo and worked with also SAP Labs India. And when I left my job, I was the architect for the S4 HANA solutions working in SAP Labs. And now I am a full-time trainer. So I have a YouTube channel with the name also Anubhav, and you might have seen some of my videos on different modules like ABAP, Oops ABAP, design patterns, UI5, Fiori, Gateway, OData, Launchpad, PTP, security, S4 HANA, CDS views, AMDP, HANA native development, SAP Analytics Cloud. These are all the different topics which I have expertise on. And yes, this training is predominantly targeting the audience who is working on HANA or plan to work on HANA. Some of the initial topics of this training might be boring for some of you because some of you might already have a good experience in HANA, working with native HANA development with the database modules and database objects, or perhaps the Fiori specific paradigm objects. But all in all, it will be idea is to bring all of us on the same knowledge level at the same time, learn how to build entire application end to end. So this is mainly a full stack development training where you will learn starting from database layer to the application layer to the programming and the API parts and services layer, and then finally building the user interface UI layer. Along with that, we have topics like deployment, launchpad integration in BTP, how do you serve your application, and also very special topics like security. How do you manage security of your cloud application by also securing your data? And then see where can this whole thing fit into my projects or my existing applications which I have to migrate into the cloud. So that will be the goal of this training. So with that, let me quickly also start with your today's episode. So let's discuss what we are going to see in today's session with hands on. We will look at what is SAP Business Technology Platform and what is Cloud Foundry. We will look at the setup of SAP BTP trial account. If you want to practice as a developer a fresh system, how would you do that? So we'll set up a BTP trial account today. I will be utilizing my colleague's email ID to be able to set up a BTP trial from scratch. You will understand the architecture and the dev organization of BTP. Usually in our on-premise landscape, we have development, quality, and production. How will it be organized in the cloud? We will understand that. We'll see what is Cloud Foundry, its broad architecture, where will the word Cloud Foundry comes from, and how it relates to BTP. We will also see the history of SAP, or the history of Cloud Foundry, and then how it amalgamates into the BTP. We will talk about development tool setup and also build our first simple application using Cloud Foundry. If time permits, I will start with introduction to SAP HANA, as our core focus will be to build everything on HANA database. So that will be our main goal and focus will be. So we will also start introduction of HANA. No matter if you never worked on HANA, it is also absolutely fine. We will cover basics of HANA for you in a very short introduction, so that you will also have the equal amount of confidence to begin with development on HANA. Now, let's start with what is SAP BTP. SAP BTP, in short, Business Technology Platform, is a integrated offering comprised of four technology portfolio, which includes database and data management, application development and integration, analytics, and intelligent technology. So the entire portfolio of BTP platform is divided into these four different parts. Basically they prompts us towards the use cases. The platform offers users ability to turn data into business value, compose end-to-end business processes, and build and extend SAP applications really quickly. So you are not just able to develop application, but you can extend existing applications from your on-premise system. You will also be able to do integration utilizing the BTP. So these are some of the core use cases. Now in these four pillars of BTP, the first pillar is database and data management. Let's say my company wants to store data in the cloud. Just store data. I don't want to build any application, nothing. I just want to keep my data in the cloud. It's possible. That's a first predominant use case of data. And that's where SAP comes with these different products into the BTP. One is SAP HANA, where you can store schema based artifacts, the classical HANA based artifacts. This is what is possible to run. Then second comes HANA Cloud. This is a new concept powered by XS Advanced Architecture, where we use something called HDI containers. We will also discuss what is HDI in detail. So that's the main bread and butter for this training. Then we have SAP Data Intelligence, which is another product for applying machine learning on complex data sets. We have SAP Master Data and Governance and Adaptive Server for Enterprise, where you can scale up and scale down your enterprise storage, data storage capabilities on demand. Apart from that, it also offers other database services like Redis. If you want to build a chat application, then you can use Redis kind of database or PostgreSQL, but those are out of scope for this particular training. Then comes his analytics. So it comes with some products which are already shipped by SAP. SAP has also used the BTP platform as their own platform for development. So they consume their own food also. So they have come up with products like SAP Analytics Cloud, SAP Data Warehouse Cloud, SAP POBI, SAP Business Planning and Consolidation, and BW for HANA. So some of these products are built completely natively on the BTP, or some of these products are integrating with BTP for the purpose of data. So this is another pillar of, or the use case for BTP platform. The third comes is application development and integration, which includes SAP Integration Suite, which we formally call it as CPI, Cloud Platform Integration. Then we have SAP Extension Suite, where you can utilize the concepts of events from your on-premise system. For example, let's say a sales order was created in SAP S4HANA, and I would like to sense that sales order creation and automatically run some kind of processing to trigger a approval process from an external vendor. So this is kind of an extension suite application which we can also build. Then we have also process orchestration, where we can create workflows, business workflows into the BTP. Then comes his intelligent technologies, which includes the new stuff, completely new stuff for industry like SAP IRPA, Intelligent Robotic Process Automation, where you can automate your manual tasks which are oftenly done manually, like checking a invoice which has been received and comparing with our financial data. We have ability to create robotic bots. These bots can minimize the human intervention and increase the automation in the company. Then we have SAP conversational AI, where we can build chatbots to perform different tasks which are tedious tasks and repetitive tasks, and that can be done directly by computer. For example, when you go to Expedia or travel websites like Make My Trip, uh, you will see a small chat bot on the right side, and when you want to book some tickets, that chat bot is going to help you to book it. There's no real human sitting out there. Then we have IoT integration, where we can consume sensor data to trigger special events or trigger execution or jobs into the background in the BTP. Then we have AI business services, artificial intelligence, like extracting data from documents. A lot of different variety of use cases with machine learning are built in the SAP system. So these are some of the intelligent technologies which are part of the BTP platform. So it is a platform as a service where you can not just build your own applications, you can extend your applications, you can also do integration, and you can also store data into the cloud. This is nowadays becoming the most important pillar of any application development in a company. So, how do we set up BTP? Now, before we even go to the BTP trial account or BTP account, let's understand why do we need BTP? What is the essence of using BTP? And then we will set up our BTP account. Of course, some of majority of you already know BTP page and how to set up a trial account. You would have also done some hands-on in the past. But I would like to conduct this training in a way that you are absolutely a beginner. So these are the delta things which some of you might not be aware of, or because you are getting exposure to the BTP for the first time. So we'll be going from scratch. But before that, let's understand the essence of BTP. So now take an example here. If a developer, let's say a developer Anubhav, and Anubhav wants to develop a application. So what does Anubhav need to develop an application? So Anubhav needs to go to market and first arrange an infrastructure. Infrastructure is nothing but laptop. I need to have a good laptop with good RAM and good hard disk to store my projects and run them. So Anubhav needs to go to market and buy servers, buy storage, and perform virtualization. So certain softwares require certain operating system, and then you may need to add virtualization using VMware, like adding Linux or Windows or different types of OS on top of the server, and perform also networking. These whole thing in the world of IT comes under infrastructure. So Anubhav has to go and do all this. Then Anubhav need to set up operating system on top of the hardware, set up database, set up middleware and runtime. So Anubhav cannot run a C program in Notepad. Anubhav need a C compiler. Yeah, that's exactly the runtime I'm talking about. So Anubhav would need all these things to be set up by himself to be able to get started with the development. And then Anubhav will start developing applications and start putting his data. Now, what if I say this is a very tedious and complex and expensive process for Anubhav? Then what I can do is I can say, is there someone in the market who can give me all this, the below part in here, as a rent out? I can go to someone and I rent out a computer on the internet where I will get whatever I need. So let's say I need 100 petabytes of hard disk and 20 gigabytes of RAM. Instead of investing upfront so much of money into such a hardware, I can just get a computer on the internet on rent with, let's say, $3 a month, and I don't have to do upfront investment for all this. So this is called in the world of cloud infrastructure as a service. So you go to any infrastructure provider and say, hey, I need a laptop or I need a system, a hardware with 20 gigs of RAM and 10 petabytes of memory with this type of octa core processor. Yeah, so they will already have a good investment already done on hardware, and they will give you such a hardware arranged in no time. So you don't have to take the pain to go to market and do a upfront investment of $20,000. Rather, in $20 a month you are running a PC on the cloud, and you can anytime discontinue that. Yes, and more, if you want to add, you can add more sugar to it and more sweeter it becomes, as and when you want to scale up and scale down. So that gives a flexibility to Anubhav to get started with this development. And here comes the players like Amazon, AWS, Microsoft Azure, and GCP. These are the leaders in the market. There are a lot of other companies like DigitalOcean, Cloud9. Yes, then we have Ocean Cloud. Lot of different companies are there, and they offer exactly the similar services where you can buy a computer, a hardware resource on the internet, and you can yourself manage that hardware resource. Let me quickly show you that. So I will switch over, for example, to aws.amazon.com, and here I can see the pricing part, or Amazon free. They also offer a free trial, free tier actually. Yeah. So you can see here, if I run this computer or this 5 GB computer 750 hours, so it is 25 GB, you can see. So you can see complete hardware capability. How much will be the storage, how much will be the CPU size, how much will be the processor size, how much will be the RAM size. So you can really look at the kind of a la carte option over here with the kind of server you want depending on the requirement you have. So there is no upfront investment you have to make, and you can get a customized server, customized computer running on the internet, and that computer you can connect from your local computer. So this kind of service is called infrastructure as a service. They are the infrastructure providers which provide the infrastructure, because they have already done a trillions of dollars of upfront investment to set up these hardwares somewhere in on different parts of the world. And these different parts of the world are called data centers. So the data center could be in US, Canada, Japan, China, Russia, Korea, Malaysia, Australia, India. Different countries, they do have a data center. So the moment you decides to create an instance, let me also show you another infrastructure provider which I use very often. It's called DigitalOcean. Let me go there quickly to DigitalOcean and just log in if I can. If it, yeah, it does. So now you will see here, I want to start a computer on the internet, and I can simply go back. This is another way of starting a computer. So now you can see here, I can create everything, anything which I like. So let me create a new droplet, and here it will ask me what type of computer do you want and which data center do you want to go with. So you see, $10 a month or $50 a month. Yes, depending on how much speed, how much gigabytes of storage I have. Yes, I will have a choice to uh, choose type of server, location of the server also I can choose. So all these things I'll be able to, I will be able to choose it. Yes, so when I click on create, you will see which type of operating system I want. So all this comes under infrastructure. So you can see here, depending on the size of data byte, size of RAM, you see processor type, the cost will keep on increasing. And I have really a great flexibility here to choose, different types of hard disks, operating system. And you see data center, Bangalore, Toronto, yeah. So San Francisco, New York, London, Frankfurt. Where do I want to keep my data? Where is this hardware which I want to attach to? So this is something which a infrastructure provider like Amazon, Google, or a Microsoft Azure does. On top of it, that hardware is of no use. We need something to run on top of hardware. So that's where OS comes into picture, database comes into picture, middleware and runtime comes into picture. To build an application, I would need all that. So here comes is platform as a service. So if I say I don't want to set up all this, I also want someone else to do this for me on a rent, and I will take a rented computer to get this done. So that's where the platform as a service comes into picture, and that's exactly what SAP BTP Cloud Foundry is. It's a platform as a service which will manage the underlying infrastructure for you. So you, Anubhav, as a developer, has to just go and set up a platform account on SAP BTP, and it will make sure that it will give you all of this for you out of the box. So you really not spend time and energy and money in focusing on these things, and you right away just start focusing on your application and data. Yes. So this is a great time saver, and that's why we say cloud adoption speeds up the innovation in the company, because you don't have to spend time on procuring hardware, procuring OS, letting the people set up for you, or having dependency on the people. In the past, we used to go to procurement team, they used to approve budget, then the hardware is procured, then the hardware was set up by specialized team, then there is a team, IT expert team, which will do the setup for operating system and run times for you, and then you start coding. But now we say this is all coming out of the box, ready to use in no time. And that's what the platform as a service is. Then what is Cloud Foundry then? So actually, if you talk about platform as a service, it was actually a concept which was started about 10 years ago. And there were a lot of players in the market which has started innovating in this direction. It was a pretty new field. And one of the pioneer company in that space was Cloud Foundry. So Cloud Foundry is a open source organization which redefined the rule, or which defined the rule for someone to implement this platform. The benefit of Cloud Foundry is the developer who is planning to use it, they don't need to bother to first set up IaaS. Earlier we have to set up IaaS ourselves, but now this platform, this Cloud Foundry platform, has capability to manage the hardware by itself. So suppose if you set up a Cloud Foundry account, you will not be directly exposed to IaaS. Cloud Foundry platform will automatically manage the hardware internally. It has APIs through which it will utilize the hardware resources in an optimum manner for you. So Cloud Foundry was a very initial open source organization which has come up with a platform as a service concept. So SAP announced themselves as a cloud company, and they also wanted to venture into the world of cloud platform. So they looked into the market and they say, let's not reinvent the wheel. Let's look at, is there any open source definition to implement platform as a service? So they embrace and adopted the Cloud Foundry because Cloud Foundry was open source definition and comes with out of the box features to to set up a cloud platform. So tomorrow you can also innovate, and your company can also come with your own cloud platform. So let's say Markel Group cloud platform I can come up with. I will use Cloud Foundry. I will, on top of it, I will do some enhancements, developments, and I publish it as a my own cloud platform. So I can also come up with Anubhav cloud platform, because open Cloud Foundry is an open source definition for cloud platform. Anyone can take that image and they can adapt it. They can add new features and services on top, and then you will have your own cloud platform. So that's exactly what SAP did. They embraced cloud platform, Cloud Foundry, and on top they added more things specific to SAP. Like SAP had this database called HANA. They've added HANA on top of it. SAP has this concept called Fiori. They have concept called Business Application Studio. So they added these extra SAP specific things on top of Cloud Foundry. So they have got then it called SAP Cloud Platform. It was renamed in 2019 December. They renamed it to BTP, Business Technology Platform. So Business Technology Platform, first thing, it's a new name of SAP Cloud Platform. Cloud Foundry is not completely the BTP. So BTP is actually Cloud Foundry plus SAP specific services. It also has capability to manage the underlying infrastructure automatically. As a developer or as a team, when you set up a BTP account, you will be asked which infrastructure of choice you want, but you will not be allowed to access this underlying infrastructure directly. You don't have access to the underlying infrastructure to directly go and do operating system level operations or installations. You will not have that permission. But using the BTP, it will internally manage the infrastructure, and that's true also. That's good for us. It takes over most of the setup and infrastructure tasks away from you as a team. Yes, yet it is possible to do integrate, customize, integrate with third party identity providers and stuff like that for security. But most of the underlying infrastructure tasks which we used to do manually is been taken away. This is a great advantage of SAP BTP. So in short, BTP is equal to Cloud Foundry, which is an open source definition for platform as a service, plus SAP specific services. What is the advantage of BTP? Why we need BTP? So, or why do we need cloud? We were happy with on premise. Why this cloud concept actually? So first thing first, cloud gives scalability. Today your company with is with 10 employees. Tomorrow that will increase to 10,000 employees. Typically, a on-premise system is hard to scale, and it is very expensive to scale such a on-premise system. So in the cloud, the scalability is superbly easy. Today you are using, let's say, hardware with 10 GB RAM. Tomorrow you can go to infrastructure provider and say, hey, can you increase the RAM to 20 GB? It will be done in fraction of seconds. Yes. Yeah. So that is the beauty of Cloud Foundry. But in an on-premise system, again, you have to go to procurement. They need to approve budget. A new RAM will be procured from the market. Tendering will be released. Hardware will be procured. Then the basis guy, if it is on leave, or if a guy is on leave, hardware guy is on leave, you have to wait for 3 days until he comes back and then plug the RAM and then increase the RAM. That's it's hard to scale such a system. However, in the cloud foundry or actually the cloud systems, they are easy to scale. The second comes is elasticity. You can scale vertically and you can scale horizontally. What do I mean by that? So horizontal scale means there is a computer, one hardware, and that computer, you let's say have 10 GB and now you add 50 more GB to it. Horizontal scale. So your application, you can run now 10 instances of your application. Each instance of application consuming 1 GB. You have 10 GB, you can scale up to horizontally up to 10 instances of same application. So automatic load balancing will be taken care. Vertical scale means you want to have each instance which is consuming 1 GB, and now you want that to change and consume 10 GB. So each instance has to consume 10 GB. So one is horizontal and one is vertical. So you want to vertically scale, you can increase the size of memory of your each application instance. That's also possible. And that's the elasticity. The second important thing in elasticity is microservice based development. So we develop applications in a monolithic way till now, where you combine UI, database, and application, all three under one big application, one single package. Yeah, the whole application is a one package. So if something fails, the whole application will stop working. But with microservice development, what happens? You break down your entire application in small microservices. Let's say user interface. Then you have services. Then you have database as a service also. So each thing, each component of application is microservice. Now imagine, for example, your user interface is down for some reason. There is a bug in Fiori, it's not working. Yet the service layer is working fine. So if you have some third party integration with a Java application or Android application, it will continue to work because you have developed application in small pieces, microservice. So Uber is a good example of microservice. What Uber did earlier, they had a big monolithic application for booking the cabs, for searching the cabs, for drivers to accept payments, for driver login module, for customer login module. Everything was one monolithic application. What Uber observed, that if a 20 customer, 100 customers searching for cab, out of 100 customer, only 10 customer will book the cab. And then if 10 customer book the cab, actually 8 of them will actually travel. 2 of them will cancel the cab after booking. Then 8 people who travel, out of which only 3 people will do a online payment, rest all people will do cash payment. Yeah. So if you look at this kind of application, you have to develop an application. If you develop in a monolithic way, you cannot scale independent component of application. Let's say payment module. So you don't want to scale a payment module because out of 100 people who are searching for cab, only 3 people will do online payment. So if you want to scale the application up because the load is high and more people are booking cabs, you have to scale the whole application, and the module for payment will also get scaled up unnecessarily. But you know that out of 100, only 3 people will use payment methodology, which is online technique. So unnecessarily the application resource was getting wasted. So they broken it down entire thing into microservices, and everything is now a microservice. So let me just quickly also show you this in the Google. So I do have also a picture out there. So Uber microservice architecture. So if you go to images out there, you will see that they have broken down everything into small microservices now. Yeah. So everything was broken down in microservice. So driver management, passenger web UI, passenger management, driver web UI, payment option, billing option, trip management. It was all broken down into now microservices. So what happens now? The benefit of this is that 100 people will search the cab. So you just have to scale up only this passenger web UI module. Other modules you don't have to scale up. This module will take highest computing power and highest memory consumption. Other modules doesn't need to scale up. And for any chance, let's say the searching of new cab is stopped. If this module is stopped working, it will not affect payments. You can still accept payments. Yes. because the payment service microservice is still working fine. So by breaking it down into microservices, it has given a great advantage to Uber to scale up individually each module depending on the load, and it gives flexibility and optimum utilization of resources. And the best part is each service microservice can be developed in a different technology. So let's say a web UI is developed in Android technology, it's a separate runtime, but a payment module is developed in Spring Boot, which is more secure with Spring security. Yeah. Or a driver management module was developed using React.js, or driver web UI was developed using SAP Open UI 5. So each module can be scaled up and scaled down independently. If a module breaks, then it will not affect other module, and all the modules will work in sync. So in case if one module is down, it will not hamper your entire application. So this is the another great advantage of building in BTP or any cloud development. You get elasticity, and of course lower TCO, total cost of ownership. Initially you have to do a very high upfront investment to procure hardware, but now you get this in a very low cost. You will not pay a lump sum license fee at the beginning, like you don't engage yourself in a 20-year contract or a big license fee. Rather you will get started with just like $3 a month or $4 a month. Remember the time, I remember my childhood days when my brother used to get these VCR cassettes, yeah, to watch movies. So we used to go to VCR stores and we used to buy these cassettes, and they used to charge whopping 300 rupees, 800 rupees for a new VCR cassette for one day, you know. So it was that expensive. Then came CDs. So we used to rent out CDs from the CD store, right? So these were actually kind of managing the whole thing yourself. You have to have a VCR at home or a DVD player at home to run that CD, and then you have to rent out a CD, put the CD, you have to manage entire infrastructure. If your infrastructure is bad, then you will not be able to watch the movie. And nowadays you look at this Netflix, Amazon Prime Video. Yes, what they've done, they've changed the game. They are bringing video on demand, OTT content, which we call it as, right? So with lockdown we now know the benefits of OTT content. Everybody is consuming movies and content and music online. So it's all on demand now. You pay a very low subscription fee, as low as let's say $500 a year, and in that $500 a year you will get unlimited access to any amount of content directly streamed live on your computer, so or on your smart devices. So that's a mode where we were on premise, where we were renting out computer DVDs and cassettes, and now we are on video on demand, right? So you pay a very minimal subscription fee, which is annual subscription fee, and at that fees you will be able to consume the video. It has brought down the TCO for you as a customer to consume the digital content, because you don't have to have a VCR or a DVD player at your home. You can directly consume it over the internet, and that's how the world is changing. Even the business applications nowadays, companies and customers don't want to wait for a long life cycle for application. They want to innovate faster. They want to beat their competition, and this is even increasing nowadays more because of pandemic. The pandemic has taught us how to do things in contactless manner. So now more and more companies who have postponed their plan to go to cloud, they are reprioritizing cloud as a preferred methodology to consume applications, so that their applications and data remain accessible from anywhere in the world. So this gives a great advantage for us as a development community to also get more and more work, more quality work and more new type of work to innovate and help our company to run much better. So I hope everybody is clear about where does the cloud foundry fits into picture. Any question on this slide? The motivation for cloud platform, cloud foundry? No? Okay. So now let's look at the broad architecture for SAP Cloud Found or Cloud Foundry and SAP BTP platform with Cloud Foundry. So you know, obviously the base is Cloud Foundry. This is the open source definition for platform as a service. It comes with a lot of free features like ASE database, Postgre database, MongoDB, Redis. These are all the features which comes out of the box from Cloud Foundry. What SAP added is SAP added big SAP HANA, Hadoop, Vora. These are all the things and services which SAP added on top of it. So these are data store services. Then we have platform services, which includes integration, collaboration, analytics, security, mobile, UX, IoT, machine learning. Some of your colleagues you heard in introduction, they are working on iOS application for Fiori. So how are they doing it? So perhaps in cloud platform, they may be also using a specialized mobile service, SAP mobile service platform to build their applications. Then we have business services for e-commerce, localization, data quality. These are services which are built by SAP to provide you out of the box integration. So let's say currency conversion, that would be one service. It's very often in a business I would like to convert euro to USD or USD to INR, and these rates keeps on changing. So I perhaps develop a business service called conversion service, yes, or tax service or localization service, which will take care of this kind of work. Yes. On top of it, it supports different programming languages like Java. Then we have XS Advanced. We will talk about what is XS Advanced, HTML5, Node.js, Python, and you can also bring your own build pack to run any other programming language. For example, Go language, which is Google's language, new language, Go language. And then we have DevOps, where you can do complete application lifecycle management, starting from development to application logging to lifecycle management, profiling, monitoring, debugging, and performance statistics. All of this is provided as part of SAP BTP. Coming to the dev tools, you have possibility to do development using SAP Business Application Studio. They also had a tool earlier called Web ID, but now this is discontinued. Yeah, it is discontinued. Then we have cockpit, where you manage operations like setting up the account or managing the security, managing the connections with external systems. We will be learning all of that. Then they have marketplace, where you can explore services offered by SAP and their partners. Coming down, you can see at the bottom of it, you have the infrastructure. Yeah, this is the infrastructure as a service I was talking about. Now there are two options. One was called SAP Neo. SAP Neo is where the SAP owns the infrastructure, but SAP realized very early in the adoption that they are not an infrastructure company. They are way, way, way laggard in the terms of capability what other infrastructure leading provider does. So then they started doing tie-ups with Google, Microsoft, and Amazon. So they said that going forward, our infrastructure will discontinue, and this was used to call Neo platform, SAP Cloud Platform Neo, where this infrastructure was provided by SAP themselves. They've discontinued it now, and now they have, obviously the customers who have already signed up for a subscription will continue for them some more time, but eventually they're recommending every customer to go to Cloud Foundry. In the Cloud Foundry, what happens, the infrastructure will be provided by one of these infrastructure provider. So you will see this once I set up an account today at front of you in the system. Will do hands on. That time you will realize that the first thing which system will ask me while I'm setting an account, it will ask me to actually provide one of the infrastructure provider name. So behind the scene, the BTP platform will create the infrastructure by utilizing the Cloud Foundry API. So Cloud Foundry is the base. On top, SAP have their own service. Cloud Foundry is the one who is going to contact these infrastructure providers and going to set up an account automatically for you without you as a developer directly exposed to the infrastructure. That's what happens here. Then on the right hand side, you can have your on-premise system. Like I told you, it is a use case to do integration. So you can integrate with your on-premise system like S4HANA, Business Suite, BW, or Business Warehouse. You also have integration possibility to integrate with cloud systems like SAP S4HANA Cloud, SAP SuccessFactor, SAP Hybris, which is now known as Sales Cloud, Ariba, Concur, Fieldglass, Business by Design. These are some of the cloud solutions which SAP offers. So we have integration capability. So all in all, this is the BTP overall architecture, the services which it offers. Now, in a layman way, if you want to understand, just understand BTP is a platform where you can go and consume services. There are a lot of out of the box services which are given to you. So suppose I want to run a HANA database. My company don't have to buy a very expensive hardware for that. I can go to BTP. I can say, hey, please start a HANA service instance. That's all. A HANA is ready. A HANA DB is ready. And that easy it will be. So you all will be able to set up HANA system also very easily without any problem. So, having said that, let's take a 5 minute break here at this point of time. And after the break, we will start with the core capabilities of Cloud Foundry and the history of Cloud Foundry, how it came into the picture. and then we will set up our Cloud Foundry account, and also we will set up our development tool for this training. I'll be back into 5 minutes. So, why Cloud Foundry? Some of the benefits you already know, but there are more benefits than what we just discussed about, other than scalability, elasticity, and lower TCO. So, first of all, it gives a full support for development lifecycle. What a developer need in their life when it comes to building an application. Developer wants to make sure that they will get a complete support both on development, deployment, and testing. So when it comes to development, the SAP Cloud Foundry or the Cloud Foundry in general provides applications and services. So as a developer, you might need lot of side things like you need database, you need runtime to execute your application. All these features are provided out of the box by BTP or SAP Cloud Foundry. So what will happen is you eventually you will be able to utilize these services out of the box and build your application really quickly. So it will be very quick actually, you can build these applications. So that is the benefit you will get when it comes to development service. Then it provides support for deployment. So in the deployment, what it also offers now CI CD pipelines. So CI means continuous integration and CD means continuous delivery. So just think of an example where you just do a push to your application and it will automatically package and automatically do testing for application. So this is a great benefit which you get. So you will make sure that you always have a stable state of the application available in your development system. Then it allows you to also do a continuous integration where it automatically moves your application from development to quality to production, which minimize the human effort or the human mistakes which happens when you move a application from one system to another. In on-premise world, what happens, a basis person will actually download the transport request from dev system or into a transport management system, and from there they will take this data and then they will move this data to the queue system, and it's a manual process. Manual process tasks are always tedious and they are also error prone because human intervention is involved. So that's where the concept of Cloud Foundry comes into picture. You can configure a CI CD pipeline and it will be taking care of most of the things for you automatically without much of human intervention. So this is a great feature what also BTP does. Then comes his testing. Of course, when your application is running, you wanted to check the health checks for the application. You wanted to make sure that the application instance is properly running fine without any problems or errors. If there are any errors, then there should be alerts which should be created. So all these mechanisms are also provided out of the box by the system to us. Yes. So these are all the also things which we will be able to utilize in the system. So now let's talk about the next important thing, how Cloud Foundry have a self-healing mechanism. So basically when you run a Cloud Foundry application, it creates something, it has something called cells. The cells are the smallest unit of executable runtimes in the Cloud Foundry. Now inside a cell, you will have something called a garden. Garden is where your application will get executed, and within the garden you will have different types of containers. So you can see the container colors are very different. So I was telling you that we have microservices and each microservice can be built in different technology. Let's say one microservice where I have good UI, I want good UI, I use UI5. Then another microservice, I have good security feature, I use Spring using Java. Then another microservice where I want parallelization, I use Node.js. So it is possible to build each microservice in different technology. But whereas in on-premise system, do you have only one choice of programming language, which is ABAP. Yes, perhaps ABAP or one type of things you can do in a monolithic app. Here it is possible to run each part of the application in a different runtime, and that exactly is your container is where you have a runtime provided for the application and your actual application runs inside a container. Yeah, do not confuse this with HANA container. HANA container and this container is different. This is a Cloud Foundry container which is responsible to provide a actually a runtime for our application. That is what it does. Okay, so this is basically a runtime container where application runtime is executed or application is executed, and each container have different runtime. But how will the Cloud Foundry know that which runtime our application is using. This is done by providing the runtime information to Cloud Foundry using a file called manifest YAML file. You will see today in few minutes, I will show you a real example with the hands-on where you all will be able to see this whole process in the system live. But I'm just covering basic theory so that you will know what's going on behind the scenes. So there will be a container that is providing the runtime and our application runs inside container. Now imagine because of some reason, because of some reason, your application fell down, yeah, application crashes. What Cloud Foundry does, it has self healing mechanism. It will automatically start another container instance automatically, yeah. And if this cell doesn't have memory to start that, it will allocate another cell, and inside that cell it will create garden, and inside garden it will create another container, and on that it will run your application instance automatically. This way you can also have possibility to scale up and scale down your application. So that's what also we will see it in example in real, in few minutes once I go to system. So broad all in all, just understand there is something called a container which provides the runtime for our application, and our each microservice built on different technology runs on these containers. Each container can be of different runtime. How will the container, which container will be allocated, how will the cell know that which container runtime it should create? It will be using a file called manifest YAML file, which we will create in our project, using which it will know, Cloud Foundry will know that okay, this is the runtime container I need to instantiate to run this application, yeah. So that is the second benefit of Cloud Foundry. The third benefit is support 12. Mhm, 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 okay. So let's imagine there is an application, and this application have three microservices. So one microservice, let's say MS1, this is built using Node.js. The another microservice MS2, this is built using Java. And there is another microservice MS3 which is built using UI5. The UI5 application use HTML5 runtime. This is the runtime they use. So what happens is we will build a simple file called manifest YAML. So this file will be part of your project only. In this, you will have a entry of each module. So I'll say MS1 will need Node.js, MS2 needs Java, and MS3 needs HTML5 runtime. So when this application is deployed, what the system does? So first of all, the call will go to a module called Django in Cloud Foundry. This Django module is actually a controller. This controller's job is to understand and interpret and parse your application and see if there is any anomaly in the application code. Is this application code is clean or not? It does the linting checks and all that, and then it checks if the required resources are available. Basically, does the system, our Cloud Foundry system, has these runtimes available or not? Then what Django does? It will create a cell. Now, each cell will be of, let's say, equal size of memory. Let's say 2 GB. Now it seems that this application Node.js require 2 GB, this require 1 GB, and this require 1 GB. So now in this case, the system will create two cells because each cell is of 2 GB. So it will create two cells. The Django will create two cells actually. Yes, cell 1 and cell 2. It is going to then put our microservice 1 which require 2 GB in this cell. So here it will create a container. Yes. So it will tell the garden. Garden is basically the processor which creates these containers. So cell will tell then the garden to create a 2 GB container for Node.js type. So the container is created, and then this MS1 is deployed on this container. And then it creates, Django will create another cell, and it will tell the cell to run these two microservices. The cell will tell garden to actually create two instances of different containers, one with Java, one for HTML5. And then the application, the cell will tell garden to actually start instances of ms2 and ms3 in these containers. So this file will be written as part of project. Yes, this will be on demand. Yes. No. So let's say this microservice one is your the booking UI or the cab find service. Now if we map to Uber to understand. So this cab find service, I know it is heavily used by most of the passengers. 100 people will search the cab. I have already mentioned that this will require 2 GB. Then for this Java, this is, let's say, the another option which is driver management. So driver management will perhaps not need 2 GB. It needs 1 GB. This I as an application developer can give. In the past, we don't have this capability in ABAP or any other programming language or any other places. But now I can tell, you will see in few seconds once I show an example, I can tell how much of resources, computing resources I want to utilize. This is the flexibility which I get. Then let's say I will say 500 MB. So for the payment management, out of 100 people who search the cab, only 3 people will use the payment gateway to make the payment. Yeah. So this one, I just need 500 MB. That's suffice enough for my use case. So then I will say payment gateway module. This is the third microservice, payment gateway, built on HTML5 maybe. And please use this much memory. So you will still see that in this cell of 2 GB, you have 500 MB still free. The system does this. So we as a developer just define configuration. So yeah, so we will. Yes, correct. So we as a developer will know functionality. Obviously we are developing it, so we will know what functionality it is, and then we just put this configuration. So this file is a configuration file which we have to write. So a developer writes it, and then system will act accordingly. This is whole the system part. This is all internally what's happening in the system. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. So we will see. We have an example now in few minutes. Then you will actually deploy. We will deploy one application now itself in Cloud Foundry, and we will see all these thing is happening at front of you. So quickly a brief history about Cloud Foundry. So Cloud Foundry, what is the history? So we know the Cloud Foundry is not BTP. BTP is Cloud Foundry plus SAP specific services. So in 2009 and 11, VMware started a project. They started actually multiple projects in parallel. Along with that, there was also Bosch started open source tool projects in 2012. Later on, VMware and Bosch, they both got merged and they formed a new organization called Pivotal. The job of Pivotal was to increase the adoption of cloud in the industry. So there, the hands were joined by a company EMC Square and General Electric. Along with VMware, they joined the hand and Bosch. They formed a completely new organization and company called Pivotal. You might have heard about Spring Boot. What is Spring Boot? Spring framework. It's open source framework used in Java. That was also launched by Pivotal. It's a Pivotal's product. Spring framework development is responsibility of Pivotal. So it's a new organization which was formed in 2013 by MC Square, Bosch, VMware, and General Electric. And they also come up with a concept called Cloud Foundry. Cloud Foundry is open source platform as a service for anyone who would like to build cloud native applications. This provides platform as a service and it manages the entire infrastructure as a service by itself. So you as a application development team just has to talk to Cloud Foundry. And Cloud Foundry will manage not just the hardware but also your application lifecycle. 2014, they were gone open. Yeah, they were gone like open source. And in 2014, there were 7 platinum members and 2 gold members. Then in 2015, they had 40 plus members in total. 2019, SAP joined the race, making the total number of members of this open Cloud Foundry organization to 65 plus members. And that's when they started thinking that why are we investing in infrastructure? Because earlier SAP was having their own infrastructure as a service. They were investing on hardwares actually. They were buying physical servers and setting up their own hardware competing with Amazon AWS. They realized, okay, it is not working a good strategy. It's not working out good. You might have noticed those who worked on Neo, SAP Neo, it's very slow. They realized it very late. By that time they've done huge investment already in the hardwares, but later on they said, okay, we will partner with existing leading infrastructure providers rather than focusing more on infrastructure by ourselves. So then they shift their gears and they adopted Cloud Foundry, and they said the Cloud Foundry is the one who will manage the infrastructure. We will partner with infrastructure providers to also provide trial and the main account for our customers and partners to build application. They just enhance the Cloud Foundry to add more services like HANA Cloud, BTP, BAS, some of the other services specific to SAP like SAP Kai, Chatbot Builder, Workflow Integration, BRF Plus, SAP BRF Rules, business rules in cloud. A lot of new services were added to Cloud Foundry, and that become BTP. So in Jan 2, 2021, they renamed. Sorry, in December 2019, SAP renamed SAP Cloud Platform to SAP BTP. In Jan 2021, Pivotal announced closure of their Cloud Foundry trials. So in the past, Pivotal used to give Cloud Foundry trial like SAP give BTP trial. Pivotal announced a closure of giving trials. So a lot of people who were using Pivotal's platform as a service, they also came to SAP BTP to try and learn the cloud platform development on BTP. So this is why it is started traction starting last year, and obviously more and more companies wants to go on cloud. You might see now a TechEd and any event you see, SAP is everywhere projecting BTP, BTP, BTP. They're saying everywhere develop on BTP, please develop on BTP, go on BTP, adopt cloud. So this is what SAP is also doing because they announce themselves as a cloud company. So this is why, because the reason of benefits, recent reason of benefits of cloud, which we discussed in the last class. So this is a brief history of how it was built. So basically the Cloud Foundry is Pivotal's product. It's a open source under Apache 2.0 license, but BTP is a subscription which is paid subscription built on top of Cloud Foundry. Yeah, we will also discuss the pricing model for BTP once we go to BTP. Now, coming to BTP part. So BTP is obviously SAP's cloud platform, yeah, which is SAP's cloud platform built on top of Pivotal's Cloud Foundry. Now, when you want to develop or set up BTP, there are two options. One is you can go with a enterprise account, which is chargeable. Another, as a developer, if I want to learn the BTP development, I can go with the trial account. So these are the two plans: enterprise standard enterprise support plan, and then one is trial plan. So the way we work with trial plan is the same way we work with the productive plan also. So how it organizes the content inside. So when you set up a BTP account, what happens behind the scenes? So first of all, we will have a global account. So whenever you decide to, let's say, I want to build something on cloud, I want to build a native HANA application in cloud, I want to build a sales order or purchase order manage application in the cloud, where I will store all the data in HANA, and that application should manage purchase order in the cloud. So that is the time you will first have to set up a BTP infrastructure. To set up a BTP infrastructure as a customer point of view, I'm showing customer view, not SAP view. What you need? So you will first set up a global account. What is a global account? A global account represent customer for billing purpose. Okay, so SAP has to charge you, right? So you have to set up a global account. That will be one account per customer. Let's say I consider let's say Walmart. So Walmart will want to adopt BTP. They want to build applications related to SAP and extend SAP applications in cloud. They will go to SAP. SAP will create a one global account for them for the purpose of billing. So the charge, the bill which comes in at the end of the month for Walmart, it will be for global account. Everything will be assigned to global account. Now from there, what Walmart does? they have, let's say, different countries, they have business in multiple country, multiple region. What they do, their administrator will go and create sub account. Sub account is actually created for specialized service offering, or it represents a line of business. So there are two ways there. One way, you can create sub account per country. Let's say I create one sub account for India, one for US, one for Canada, one for Australia. This is one way. Another way is, they can say one sub account for finance, all the finance applications will live in this. One sub account for HR, one for sales and distribution, one for warehouse management. Like that, they can create sub account for line of business level. The 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 main benefit of sub account is, a sub account actually is created for a data center. So this is where you will choose your data center, this is where you'll choose your infrastructure provider. So you, as a customer of SAP, can decide that in US you want to run on AWS, but in China AWS is not allowed. Even China doesn't even allow Google. So there, if you want to adopt BTP, you have to go with Alibaba Cloud. So there you can create a sub account for China with Alibaba Cloud. That is what you can do. So this way you can create different sub account per region, and each sub account will have a particular infrastructure provider, either AWS, Azure, or the GCP, one of the infrastructure. Now pay attention. Certain services are only available in certain regions. Like for example, SAP Analytics Cloud, that service is only available in Azure and AWS. That service is not there with GCP. So if your goal is to set up analytics cloud in your company, you have to check which sub account or which infrastructure provider offers this service. Now our goal in this training is to learn HANA native development. Yes. So we have to see whether the HANA service is offered in which data center. I will show that in few seconds. How do you check that? So here is where you will have actual things happening. Yeah. So all the sub account in total will cause the billing for your company. So suppose in your company you have finance, HR, and all three are using three different HANA instance. So in total, three HANA instance ka jo whatever charge will happen, it will be charged at the sub account level, a global account level. This is where the bill will be prepared for three HANA instances. So all the resources will be allocated then in the sub account. Yes, it could be according to country, according to LOP. And this is where you will have infrastructure. Within the sub account, you have spaces. What is space? So basically, at a global account level, let's say I assigned three HANA instances, and you have given those three HANA instances to three sub accounts. All three are running now HANA. But the application, the actual application when you run, you don't want one application. You want obviously a landscape: development, quality, production. Typically this is our landscape in on-premise, right? So developers will do in dev system, quality system where testers will test the application, production is where they will use for actual consumption. So what you will do is, you will not have you will also have to have the infrastructure in the same fashion. So that is called space in case of cloud platform. So a space is equivalent to your landscape. So there you can create multiple spaces and assign space quota. Space quota means how much of the total services you want to distribute across the space. Suppose during the development I don't need 10 GB HANA. 1 GB HANA is suffice. During the quality I need 5 GB HANA, and during the production I need 20 GB HANA. So I can create space quota and allocate the runtime resources. I will optimize my and utilize my resources optimally. I will not waste my resources. So that will be the space part, space quota. Then we have the space, and each space will have multiple applications. So the actual application will be deployed in the space, and this application will move from one space to another, like dev to quality to production. So this is how we manage the landscape within the sub account. If this is too much overwhelming to you, don't worry. Let's go to system and see this in action. So first of all, global account. So let me go back. We all will be doing this hands on together. So we will go to now this trial account. So this is SAP BTP trial account. Let me give you the link to all of you, and you all can log in. So what you just need a SAP user ID. If you don't have a SAP user ID, then you can go to sap.com and create one SAP global user ID. Yes. If you have SAP user ID, very good. SAP user ID means if you ever posted on SAP SDN, CDN, then you already have SAP user ID. So I would request to create a new SAP user ID with your Gmail account or with your company account so that you all can experience end to end from a fresh account. So you can certainly use, if you're already working on BTP, you can use your existing account. But my recommendation is to use a fresh account. The reason being, what will happen is when a fresh account is used, you will get to know everything end to end. Yeah. So you will know how to set up all the admin task also you'll be able to comfortably know it. Yeah. That is why I'm asking you to use this account. So I will be using my colleague's account. Her name is Vaishali. So I will use Vaishali's account. So let me use Vaishali's account to set up a free trial. So I will use her account because I'm using a fresh account. I'm not using my account because my account are already set up. So I wanted to show you something from very scratch. That's why I'm using my colleague's account today. So when you come here, it will first ask you to accept a privacy agreement. Let me do this and then you guys can do the hands-on. I'll give you the time. So here we log in. And okay, it's also asking to verify number. Sorry, I just have to stop presenting and verify. Okay, so please mute your line, everyone. So now the very first thing, it gives you this screen. What is this screen for? So it is actually asking us to create a new trial account. Yeah, a trial global account. So we click here and then why it is giving me this? Sorry. Oh, I'm really sorry. Okay, I'm really sorry. Let me share again. Okay, I hope now you can see. So what it will do is it will create a global account and it will also create a sub account. So what will be the data center for the sub account and what will be the infrastructure provider for the sub account? That is what it is asking us. So it is asking us that what will be your sub account data center. So data center will be VA. VA means Virgin Islands, USA. Then AWS is the infrastructure provider. Yeah, so AWS is the infrastructure provider. So based on this information, it will automatically configure a global trial account. Trial account means you don't have to spend a penny. Yeah, if it would have been a productive global account, then you have to spend some money, but it would have asked credit card detail. But since we are using trial for the learning and training purpose, there is no money involved there, there's no payment involved there. Then comes is the sub account. So that sub account will be created in US data center for AWS. The moment I select this, so don't choose Singapore. I'll tell you the reason why we are not choosing Singapore. We should choose US and say create. So when you do this, you will now see a pop-up which is telling you that it is creating a global account. It is going to create a sub account. It is going to create a organization and it is going to create a space. So if you go back to our slide, it is going to create a global account. This global account is of type trial. So there is no payment involved. Then it will create a sub account. The sub account is per region, per data center. So data center here will be VA, USA, VA. And in that, the infrastructure provider will be Amazon, AWS. We didn't choose Azure Singapore. So that will, it will create. Then it will create one dev space. Automatically, it will create one space. You see, it will create one space. This will be, the name will be dev space actually. Okay. Now, what is org? Org is nothing but the Cloud Foundry organization. So the Cloud Foundry would need this organization to actually point what is the data center where the data is going to be stored. So that is internal Cloud Foundry organization which it will also be creating. But actually when you drill down to the account, you will actually see only the global account, sub account and spaces directly. Yeah, org is just an identity of this org space. So let it create. Everyone click on create button and then I will explain you why I choose US, not Singapore. So everyone please proceed and click on create button and come back. You have 1 minute. So just click on create button, will begin the creation and then I will explain you why I choose US data center. come back. So now let's see what is created. Let's first observe that. So I click on continue. So it has created a couple of things. So now if I go to my trial account, you will see it will open my global account now. So a trial account is a global account which it has opened. Since it's trial, there is no payment involved. So you can see on the top in the URL, it's a global account. Yeah, this is a global account. Every global account has a technical ID. This is the technical ID of the global account actually. Okay, this is the technical ID of the global account. So why do we need technical ID for global account? This ID will be used to give your domain name. Domain name is, let's say you build a cloud application. It's a cloud application like facebook.com. Facebook is a cloud application. It is accessible wherever you want. So every user, when they develop and deploy application, there will be a URL which you get for application. That URL must be unique for every developer. So that's why they allocate this technical name which is unique actually. It's auto generated by system. So you can see the domain name. The domain name will always include this. Now, in this, you can see sub account. So I have one sub account. So I can create more sub account. So I can create one more sub account for Singapore. So any data center I can choose and I can create so many sub accounts. The billing will be done at a global account level. But in the sub account, you can organize whatever you want. So in the region, you can choose again Singapore. So I can create one more sub account with Singapore, yeah, or other different sub account. Now, one more new concept which you were talking about. Now we support multi-level directory. This is a new concept. Somebody was just telling. I read in the meanwhile on my mobile phone. What is it? So this is actually not a completely new concept. It is just the way you organize your sub account. So you can group your multiple sub account under one directory according to your company structure. So in your company, you have a org structure. So you can map the sub account under a directory. It's just a grouping of sub account actually to manage it in a in a multi-level way. So let's say, yeah. So that is what is explained here in this concept. However, we also have documentation, very good documentation given by SAP. I will take you to this help and support documentation where we can read more. But directories are just grouping. You can see it has also created a directory. Under that directory, it has created a sub account. So this is just a grouping, how you group your content. So you can see a kind of a graphical structure also out there for just grouping of sub account. But it doesn't radically change everything. The things still remains in the same way, the way they are since the beginning. So it's just a grouping which they have enabled for the account. So let's go back to the global account. And now in the global account, you have a sub account. So let's go inside sub account. And in the sub account there, you will see the space. Space is where your application lives. Okay, this is a customer view. This is not a developer view. The developer view we will see next. So this there is a dev space, and a dev space will have a dev quota. It will have a quota. So the quota plan is created here. You see quota plan. The quota plan will say, let's say you have purchased a cloud platform account with 100 gigabyte. See guys, it's a cloud. There is a cost for every gigabyte you purchase. So you have purchased 1 gigabyte or 100 gigabyte. How you want to utilize this 100 gigabyte? You want to give it all to dev space, or you want it to allocate development, quality, production, all three places. So if I would like to run a real time project, I will allocate into multiple parts. So I will create a dev space where I will create a quota plan of, let's say, 20 GB. I'll create a quality space where I'll create a quota plan of 30 GB, and I'll create a production space where I'll create a quota plan of 50 GB. So I can allocate, distribute my total number of resources into multiple parts. How I want to run, show my applications. Development team doesn't need that much of memory and space, but in the production I need that much. And based on that quota plan, the cloud foundry will take the memory. Yeah, so you saw the Django and the cell and the container. So that total, where is that total memory? That total memory is in the quota plan. So you will say 60 GB or 50 GB for prod space. That 50 GB is fixed now for that dev space. When your application is deployed in a dev space, the cloud foundry will see total available memory is 50 GB, out of which how much my application need, 1 GB. Okay, let's create a cell for 1 GB. That is how it will work. So right now there's no quota plan. We will create a quota plan. Now, why I choose US, I want to explain that. So each data center given by SAP have different services. Some data centers doesn't support some services. Our goal is to learn about HANA. HANA development, HANA native development, HANA cloud development. So let's see where is this HANA cloud service available. So what I will do is I will go back to SAP service catalog or SAP service discovery center. Yes, this is the link I will also give in the chat window to all of you. This is very helpful and very important part. So certain services are not available all data centers, like certain services. So now I go to the service catalog and I search a HANA service. So suppose in your company you want to do HANA development. So there is this service called HANA Cloud service. You see HANA service, HANA Cloud service. Yeah. So when you go to this service, you can see this service is available in what are all the plans. So like when you go to Netflix or Amazon, there are different subscription plan, right? How many movies you want to watch? You want to watch channels, movies, or when you buy a Dish TV or Airtel Dish TV, you will have a la carte plan. You want to watch sports channel, kids channel, right? The holy channels, news channels. Yes, you will make your a la carte plan. You will choose which plan I want. I probably don't watch news, or I probably don't watch the daily soaps. Yeah, so in that case I can degrade on my plan and I will increase another plan. So that is the way I can increase decrease my plan. So this is why where the plan comes into picture. So this is a service. This is HANA Cloud as a service. This is database as a service offered in cloud. It basically the HANA database running in the cloud. Yeah, we'll talk about this service more in detail, but let's go to the pricing. So you can see different plan. SEPA plan, yeah, which is called enterprise plan, cloud platform enterprise agreement plan, pay as you go plan, subscription, or trial. So trial is free. Yeah, it's free. Which are all the data center this trial is available? So HANA itself is a big catalog. It has multiple services like Secure Store, Schema service, HDI service, Data Lake service. We will talk about them in detail. But what we will be using is this HDI share. And you can see this is only available in AWS, Europe, and US. And with Azure, it is available in Singapore. So what happened about like 6 months ago? It was not available in Singapore. Now they have added in Singapore also this service. So for the trial plan, HANA database service is available only in these data centers. For these data centers, Frankfurt and US, for this particular infrastructure provider, AWS and Azure Singapore. Other than that, any other data center, let's say I choose AWS Australia, I will not be allowed to create HANA DB. I will not be able to. So this is the reason I choose that screen AWS US. Similarly, let's say you want to run ABAP system. There is also something called ABAP on cloud. You might have heard about it. We have a training, separate training ABAP on cloud on our Anubhav trainings website. You probably can check out that later. This the scope of this training is not ABAP on cloud, but you can search for ABAP on cloud service. So there are lots of services here. So now if you go to services, you will see something called ABAP on cloud. ABAP environment. Here it is. You see ABAP environment. You go inside. Let's see what are the services they have. So in the trial also they have it, and you see this is only available in Europe and US. It's not even there in the Singapore AWS Azure. So that's why I chose US East, because most of the services which we plan to use in this training, and perhaps you will learn later on with me in future. Yes, as and when you take more trainings with me, these services all works on US East VA with AWS. That's why I chose the best data center which was available for the trial, because most services you will be able to practice in this. Everybody, are you clear? How to check? This is a very important step. How to check which service is available in which plan, which data center. Everyone, are you clear? Yes or no? Yes. Now, many of you heard about BAS, Business Application Studio. That is also a service. It's a platform. So platform as a service. Lots of services are there. So let's have a Business Application Studio. Let's see if this service is there in which data centers. So if I search business application, search नहीं चल रहा है इनका. कुछ तो problem है. Some problem. Let me refresh. Yes, here it is now. Refresh search worked. I don't know. Surprise. Okay, go inside. Let's go to pricing. Let's go to trial. Let's come down. So you see, this service is available in Singapore also, Europe also, US also. US AWS is available. So many times student complain that Anubhav, I set up a BTP account in my company and the best service is not there. What do I do, Anubhav? So they did not go and check here properly that is the data center support that service or not. So when you go with productive subscription in your company, at that point of time, you have to be very careful about choosing data center. Otherwise, what will happen? You will end up creating so many sub accounts and it will be hard to organize. So go with one sub account which perhaps have most of the service available. Yes. Yeah, certain services are not there in certain accounts. Then coming to payment, if you want to buy an SAP BTP productive subscription, so here you see subscription process. So price per unit, you can see one block size 13 euro per month per user. So one user minimum you can take. This is bash service actually. You can add to estimator tool. Yeah, so this service is now gone to estimator tool. This is like online shopping. So it has gone there. So I want bash service to be used in BTP. How much it will cost me? I want HANA, bash, and let's say runtime. So all this we can add. So let's go back. So I'm just showing you how productively your company will actually do purchase. Yeah. So let's back and now I'll search HANA Cloud service. I want to add this also to my pricing. So how much cost it will be for my company. So you can see this is the cost. Yeah, per unit. So there are a lot of calculations which you can add. So do you want this? Do you want this? Do you want this? So maybe I just want this. So I will just add also this to the estimator tool. Then to run a application, you need runtime service, which provides you the application runtime. So to manage an entire application, you need also runtime service. So that also is a cost. So everything is a service. So you have to add all the services which you really need in your application. So you see runtime service will be there. So you see Kima runtime, Cloud Foundry runtime. So we will go with Cloud Foundry runtime. So now this is where your CAPM development happens. You see, this is SAP Cloud Application Programming Model, CAPM. Yeah. So this is what the service which is responsible for executing your CAPM application. If you go to trial, it's only available in AWS. So if I would have chosen Azure Singapore, then I wouldn't be able to teach you the CAPM development, my friends. Yeah, this is why I chose AWS US because here Bash is also there, HANA Cloud is also there, CAPM development is also there. The runtime for CAPM will also be available to develop entire application end-to-end full stack application with you in this training. So for actual payment, you go to subscription, you will add. Now let's see how much this bare minimum setup cost me. If I want to go with productive BTP account in my company for real, later on in the future, after this training is complete, we want to do real development in BTP for my company, a productive BTP account with these bare minimum service, how much it is going to cost me. So you can come down. So you can see here how many users you want. So let's say I want 10 users for bash. Yeah. How much HANA database unit? So you can see capacity calculator for HANA. This is a block. So HANA is given in form of blocks. So how much memory? So each block is one memory. So you can see HANA plan and you can just use this calculator also here to see one block equal to how much gigabytes. So that is something which you can see here. So you can see here a manual block, small block 64 GB it is. Yes. Then you see this hot store, warm store, cold store. I will explain you what is hot store, warm store, cold store. This is another interesting topic in HANA. Once we go to HANA unit, we'll see. So then you can see the blocks. So you can see here the block size and how much per month it is going to be the capacity unit. So likewise, you can do a estimation and you can choose how much block of HANA units you want. Let's say I want minimum, let's say 5 blocks. So then comes is the runtime service. So how much gigabytes of memory you need runtime? So we minimum need, let's say at least 40 GB, let's say 10 GB for dev, 15 GB for queue, and let's say remaining for P system to run a entire application. So how much is the total cost? So the total cost of all these services is going to be 5,000 euros per month. That is the cost for running a entire. This is I'm telling bare minimum. Itna to you have to add it. So 5,000 euros into, let's say, euro is 83, I guess. So 4,15,000 per month. This is very costly for an individual, but for companies it is pennies. For big companies it's just pennies. About 50 lakh rupees your company will be spending for the infrastructure cost, which includes infrastructure and platform cost with the dev tools and required services to run the application. And you can scale up and scale down. More sugar you add, more sweeter it becomes. So you want to add more and more services, it will cost more. You reduce your block size and number of users, it will reduce down further. So this is how the estimation is typically done in a company when it comes to cost. And you can also download and share this with your management, that this is much how much it is going to cost my company to have the right infrastructure on BTP setup to do the development in my company. So you see all the estimate have come. Nice, na? So this is something which you guys can also do now. This is more of an administrator task, not our task as a developer. We as a developer should not do this. But now you know the reasoning behind choosing US data center at least. And where can we check all this pricing information for the subscription of actual BTP, and in the trial what services are available. Okay. So now it's your turn to quickly just create your estimation for like 5 minutes and followed by a 5 minute break. So I'm giving total 10 minutes. Those who are done fast, they can take a break early. So let me give you the link also for service catalog discovery. I think I've already given, but let me again put in there. Yeah, I think already given. You guys can check that. It's already given there. So let me start the timer. Please start practicing this estimator tool, and then just take a 5 minute break. I'll be taking a break now. I'll come back in 10 minutes. Yeah. Yes, please. Yes. Yeah, you can share your screen. Next, we will be creating a quota plan in few seconds. Yes, yes. Mhm, mhm. Yes. So by mistake, those who have selected Singapore by mistake, they can delete the existing sub account. They can recreate another sub account with the correct region. Yes, region and the provider, infrastructure provider, both. Mhm. Correct. Thank you. Thank you. You guys are going good. So next step will be creating quota plan after the break. I'll be back in 10 minutes. Now we will see how the resources are distributed across the accounts. So if you go back to the account, the global account, all the computing resources will be allocated to the global account. So because the pricing is done at the global account level. So you just saw, for a demo purpose, we took 50 GB RAM or 50 GB computing units, 50 GB power. That 50 GB is allocated straight away to the global account. So all 50 GB is available in global account. Now you as administrator has a choice to distribute these resources across sub accounts. Suppose I have a dev team in India and I have a dev team in US. I have got total 50 GB payment done, out of which 25 GB I'll give to US, 25 GB I'll give to India. So that is something called entitlement, service entitlement and service provisioning. So what you do is you will go to service assignments. Suppose you purchase HANA service, ABAP service, or let's say BAS service. How you want to distribute your service? So you go to service assignment at a global account level, and then you choose which service you want to configure or assign. So you go to entity assignments tab, and you will choose your sub account now. So I have one only, so I'll choose sub account, and now I'll click go button. So I'll see what are all the services which are assigned to this sub account. You can see almost everything is assigned automatically because it's a trial. SAP provision it in a way that you will only use one sub account for the trial purpose. But if you by chance delete your sub account and recreate new sub account, assignment will not be done. So in that case, you might have to come and do the assignment again over here. So if you use the technique which I showed, automatically the assignment is done to the sub account. But just in case it doesn't happen, you can come and do that. So let's cross check. We can call configure entitlements, add service plan, and I will add a HANA service plan because you know that in the US AWS there was a HANA Cloud service plan which was available for free as a trial, and it is now my duty to use that. So I want to use it. Mhm. 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 Mm. Mm. Yes, that's exactly what will happen in the real time. So once, yes. Yes, it's already done. So you can see I don't have a option to change. Yeah, there's no. Mhm. Mm. Hmm. Hmm. We give it to that sub account. Yes. Yes. Right. Correct. Correct.
Then map to the sub account against the service. Suppose you request us for a document service, we will ask you and then we will allocate it and entitle it to the sub account where you want to run this. So this is how we do it in a productive environment, just to add to the wider audience. Since this is trial account, that part is missed.
Yeah, true, correct.
That part is not missed. That part is there, but it is
It,
automatically provisioned.
Yeah,
yeah,
that part is automatically provisioned, and that's
Yes.
why
So
yeah.
here I'm showing now the HANA Cloud service which we will be planning to use in this training. So here I go and check. You can see it's already assigned to our sub account entitlement. But what happens in case you by mistake deleted your sub account and you recreated this entitlement? Then you have to come and do manually. Yeah. Okay. Now we go to the sub account. So we are happy with our sub account. So we can jump into the sub account now. And in the sub account now, all the resources are there. So right now in this training, for simplicity purpose, we just have one sub account. It has everything. So here now we have to create a quota plan. So go to quota plan. This is something which you all have to do, because before we start development, we need to prepare our environment. Click on new quota plan, and here it says how much memory is available with this sub account. So once the administrator assigns out of available resources some resources to your XYZ sub account, those resources will reflect here. So these are all the only resources, everything is assigned to this one sub account only. So now I will just give a plan, let's say dev plan, and let me grant everything. So 10, 400, and now it is 8 GB. Notice it is 8 GB, but here it is asking space in megabyte. So we will put 1024 into 8, 8192. Then 20 app instances, allowed paid service. Let it check, no problem. Don't worry, it will not charge you anything. And click on save. So that creates a quota plan. And then we will assign this to our dev space. So this is a next activity which we have to perform so that we can be ready with our dev environment. We will be doing the development. So we need these computing resources. Where will my application run? So Django has to allocate the memory, allocate the computing resources to your application, and that will be done only if the quota plan is assigned to your space. So your application lives inside the dev space, and you cannot deploy application if you don't have computing resources allocated to your dev space. So furthermore, basically the sub account owner will have a flexibility here to assign the available resources and allocate to different dev space, queue space, and p space. Optimally utilize your resource. This is something which is not possible in your on-premise world. I mean, as a ABAP developer, you don't have a possibility to say this function module will take this much computing power, or this particular class will take this much power. That flexibility you don't have there. So don't take it as a tension, don't take it as a overload, rather it is a flexibility given by SAP in the BTP platform for you, where you have now choice to decide how much computing power you want to utilize out of what is available, and make a flexible plan accordingly. So everyone on your system, you have 5 minutes to create your quota plan and assess, which all got created, and we created a dev quota plan. So now we created dev quota plan. So our next step will be to set up our dev tool to start the development. So what dev tools does the Cloud Foundry offers, and how they are being used in industry? So you can make out there are three development tools predominantly used. You might have come across as you are working already on HANA native development in the past. There was this tool called Web IDE, which is now obsolete actually. So this was also used for the Fiori development. Those who come from Fiori space, you might notice that they made it discontinued now. The going forward two tools which will prevail in the industry, which is VS Code and Bash. Then what's the difference? People are very shy using VS Code. At times when I spoke to them, they say, no, no, we don't want to do VS Code. No, 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 this is not expected. Use Bash, use Bash. Bash is the way. Bash is the way forward. Let me tell you one important thing. Bash is just VS Code. SAP have taken VS Code. They've adopted it, they've changed it, they modified it, and they publish it in the cloud, and that become the Bash. So if you want to save millions of dollars of your company, you can adopt VS Code, especially for UI5 on-premise development, where you're doing UI5 development. If you're using Bash, you saw the costing for Bash today. It is costly for your company. To save the cost, you can use VS Code with the exact same features. But this is not a UI5 course, hence we'll not go more in detail. But just in case, our goal will be as a trainer to confirm or help you understanding both tools. Because you might come across situations where your company will say, okay, we want to bring down the cost for the Bash. In that case, you can start adopting VS Code for the development. It does this almost same thing. Yeah. So VS Code is an open source tool by Microsoft, and it can, the best part about which I love the most is local. It is local to my computer. At times the infrastructure, SAP infrastructure is down, let's say, due to maintenance. I can't open Bash. How do I do development? If I have to do urgent code change and push it, how do I do then? Yes, I am traveling in a flight to Dubai. It takes 2.5 hours. So I get down, I board in the flight. When I get down at Dubai airport, I have a Fury app ready, or I have a Cap app ready. That's the beauty of VS Code. It allows you to do local development completely locally in your personal computer. Obviously, Bash has its own advantages, VS Code has its own, but the main advantage here is local. First is local. You can work in offline mode. Third, it's free. Yes, it offers the same features what the Bash offers, and you can. It will be very fast as compared to Bash at times. Yeah, because Bash is overloaded at times. If you have less amount of computation resources in your account, it will be very slow. Every time you have to start the dev space, it takes a lot of time. You need to have internet connectivity. Can't work offline. So these are some of the advantages, disadvantages. Again, it's your choice. As a trainer, my duty is to cover both the tools in the training. So I assume everyone has installed the VS Code tool, because that is what we will also be using for our next class. But if you've not done so, kindly do that today. Get your IT clearance done and keep the VS Code tool ready by next class. But for now, today's session, as it was first session, we will do it on the bash. It would not require any installation. It runs directly on the web browser, and it will have all the features pre-installed for us to be able to do HANA native development. So let's talk about installation of bash tool. So VS Code I'm skipping. You have to install, get it installed. So I just wanted to check with you all. Have you already installed the VS Code development tool?
Uh, yes, this is
Yes.
Lokesh. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, Anubhav.
Perfect. Very good. Thank you. So I think I can skip this part. One more thing I wanted to check. Have you guys also installed Node.js?
Mm. Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So just let's cross check that. So you all have to go to command prompt and type node space dash v, and you will see the Node.js version must be 14. We will be using version 14 because Bash also use 14th version for Capum development. So
Yes,
everyone, please check this command.
it's 14.
Is 14 perfect? Please check it, everyone.
Yeah.
Just 1 minute, just to cross check. Everyone has the right infrastructure installed. And next thing, have you guys also installed Git SCM? Git SCM tool?
I think it is installed. Yeah.
It is installed. How do we check?
Yes.
We just have to do say Git command, and it is going to give you the list of topics like git dash dash help. It will show the list of help for the git. This is a command to check if the git scm is installed in your system or not. What is git
Mm,
we will cover later, don't worry. What is git we will explain that, but just you should have it. Okay.
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
install.
Okay,
Install.
good.
It's installed.
Okay, let's move on then. So that's the VS Code part. I've written this the set of instructions to also get it installed in case if you've not done so. But let's move to Bash directly for our today's exercise. So Bash is a fully supported new development tool introduced in 2020, which is a successor of Web IDE. It is inspired by Microsoft's open source development tool VS Code. Bash is a multi-cloud development tool. This is the beauty about Bash. Multi-cloud development tool. Basically, we are doing cloud development and it's a multi-cloud development tool. It supports variety of programming language supports. You can develop Java, Node.js, Capum, UI5, Fury, DB tools, and workflow applications using Bash tool. So it's a one-stop solution for all kinds of development requirement in our company. This is why it is very popular, and certainly 80%, 70 to 80% of this course we will do on the bash. 70 to 80%, because I know you have planned a productive BTP subscription in your company, and certainly you will be using bash. But still, the 30% part I would love to cover on VS Code, because you will see no difference. You will also gain insight about why am I promoting VS Code, obviously to save cost. So then let's understand what is a dev space. So when you create or start bash tool, the first thing you will see a dev space it will create. What is a dev space? So let's understand that first quickly. What is a dev space? So I'll just take a slide. Now you know that we have just set up a BTP account. So at the bottom of BTP you have infrastructure as a service. Let's say there is a AWS computer. This is the actual physical hardware where you have some memory, let's say 50 gigabyte memory. On top of it, we have BTP powered by Cloud Foundry open source platform. So this is our BTP. On top of BTP, you have the bash tool which you will be using. Yes, this is the bash tool. You saw the bash tool was also a subscription, and it will cost my company some amount based on number of users I want to use. So this is a service. It's a dev tool as a service. Now, to get started with the development, we have to create a dev space. What is a dev space? So imagine you have total storage in this AWS machine as 50 GB. This is the total storage. Imagine, yeah, to store the code or to store anything, you can store anything in 50 GB. Now, when I start development, one developer create one dev space, another developer create another dev space. Lot of people will have lot of code. Obviously, this is the upper cap of the storage limit what I have. So what I will do, if I give this 50 GB to just one person, other people will not be able to develop. So what SAP done, they come up with this dev space concept. What is a dev space? Behind the scene, dev space is a virtual machine. It's a virtualization. You might have, in the college days, you might have heard about VMware. What is VMware? It's a virtualization solution. So I used to play one game, and that game used to only work in Linux operating system. And I was a big fan of that game. It was then in my college Linux computer. I was a big fan of that game. I wanted to play that game, but unfortunately, my computer has Windows. I can't play that game. So what I did is I installed VMware. On top, I installed Linux, Red Hat Linux, and on top, I have installed my game and I was able to play. So what VMware does, it will allow you to virtualize your hardware. Yeah. So it allows you to create a operating system virtualization on top of your another operating system consuming resource. So when you create a virtual machine, it actually takes some memory from this actual machine and allocates it for this virtual machine. Yes. So this way we can do virtualization of our hardware. So and then we have also possibility or a flexibility to choose operating system of our choice. So when you create a dev space behind the scene, what it is doing, it is taking some space from this total amount so that one developer doesn't consume entire space or entire memory. It will take some space from it and allocate to this dev space. And this will be a virtual machine created with Debian Linux. I don't need to teach all these things, but since I know the underlying infrastructure and the lines, as I worked on Labs India to do all these things, it's a Debian Linux which will be created. So it will utilize this 4 GB of this space and create a dev space where you can start the development actually. So in the underlying computer, underlying AWS machine can be, let's say, 1000 petabytes. And this 1000 petabytes, it's share across multiple customers also. So each customer,
Kindly resume the recording.
Lokesh, are you not recording this?
It is being recorded.
It is recording. It is recording. Okay. So 1 petabyte, let's say total AWS machine. Amazon also does this. So what Amazon does, they just put 1 petabyte of memory. Now let's say 20 customers came. So what they do, even Amazon split this into 20 parts. Yes. So that it is or even cost effective for Amazon also. So at every level there is a split of resources actually which is happening. So there is a split of resources happens at when you create a dev space, so that one developer doesn't overload the system and doesn't consume entire memory or entire resources. So this is one advantage. And this dev space is going to write the data all to this virtual machine. It will just use the storage of this virtual machine. So by chance, if let's say developer does something in a way that disrupt everything, it will not affect other people in the system. Like think about the old world. If a basis people does a mistake, all the developers are sitting idle in my whole team, because basis people have done a mistake which requires a reboot of the SAP server and everybody is idle. That doesn't happen here. If a developer does a mistake, it only corrupts the dev space of that developer. It only affects the virtual machine of that developer. It doesn't affect anybody else in the system. So that's a great architecture, and that's a great utilization of resources and split of resources. So let's create a dev space. The next important thing why dev space is so important, to develop a application, you need tools. Tools like you need Node.js. This is the runtime you need. You need SAP Cloud Foundry CLI, command line interface. You need HANA CLI. You need UI5 tooling, UI5 CLI. These are all the different modules and tools and backing services or backing things which you need. A dev space pre-configures all this. Yes, wow. A dev space pre-configures all this. It will automatically install all these things which are needed for development for a developer. This is one advantage of bash as compared to VS Code. If you use VS Code, all these tooling you need to install in your local computer manually. Yes, that's a disadvantage of VS Code. But yes, in a long run, it's cost saving. So obviously, people want to do cost saving, so this is fine that they install these tools in local computer. But you will see that the bash will come pre-packaged with these tools. So let's go to the system, and we will now create a dev space over here. Yeah, so let's do that. Just 1 second, guys. Somebody's on the door. Just 1 second. Okay, sorry, guys. Okay, now let's proceed further. What we are going to do, so we are going to go back and create a bash dev space. So to do that, there are two ways you can go to bash. Yeah, there are two ways. One way is you can go to service instances and subscriptions. So what happens when you set up your trial account? SAP knows what you want, why are you doing this setup. Yeah, obviously somebody setting bash account, somebody setting BTP account, which means they want to do some development. So what they do, they automatically subscribe the bash service to the trial account. Automatically, this subscription happens automatically. They don't subscribe ABAP runtime service to the user, to the developer, but they subscribe bash service. So what you have to do, you go to instances and subscription, and you will see a bash service will be automatically assigned in the trial account to the developer. Okay, so that will be happen automatically because SAP know why are you coming here. So you see bash service. So it is automatically subscribed. I click on this. This is why I use a fresh account so that you all can see these things in a fresh account, how to get started. So I go there, and now you see go to application. This is one technique to open bash tool. One technique. Another easy technique, go to trial home and you see bash here, business application studio, click here. And this is another technique. Bash is a tool for multi-cloud development, my friends. All sorts of development you will be able to do it using bash tool. So sometimes it gives you a login screen like this, and the login fails even though you enter the correct password. So you see this error will come. To solve this error, what we need to do, we need to use technique number one, which I showed you to open the bash tool. It will be smooth. So so if you face authentication problem when you launch the bash from here, use technique number one. So go inside the trial sub account, go to instances and subscriptions, and you will see a business application studio service will be automatically subscribed to your user. So this is my recommended way of opening the bash tool, and click on go to application. Now it will not prompt you login page again. So let's click and you will see it will open the bash tool. So I would strongly recommend option number one to open the bash tool, so that it will not ask you the login page and will not let you force to enter authentication again. Yeah. So this is a smooth way of opening the bash tool. Wow, look at that. And next we create a dev space. So you all know what is a dev space. You can see it's written here. A dev space is a pre-configured private environment, your own virtual machine in the cloud. Yes. So behind the scene, it's going to take some memory from the total memory and create a Linux, Debian Linux image, which has all the required development tools pre-configured, pre-installed for you. You see, where you can develop, build, test, run application pre-installed runtime tools. You can create dev space for each of your development scenario. For Fiori, for Capam, for HANA native, you can create. So our goal is to learn Capam. So we will choose option two, full stack cloud application development. This will install all the Capam tools. And since our goal is to do it on HANA, we will also choose these checkboxes. Please don't miss them. You will have serious problems going forward. about the command line interfaces if you forget to choose these checkboxes. Very, very, very important. Please do so. And now you can give some name, your name. Let me give Anubhav Cap. You can give anything you like. Let me take a screenshot of this and share with all of you in the teams. So very important step, everybody. This is step is so critical for us that it will cause lot of issues in case if you not do it properly. So let me put it all here in the chat window. So you all have to create a dev space now, and let me begin my dev space creation. So I click on create button, and that begins a dev space creation. You can see in few seconds. Yes, it's here. You see it's starting, which means it's booting up that machine. How much space that machine allocates? So it will allocate 4 GB in a trial account. You will see that space will be coming here in few seconds. So everyone on your system, you have 5 minutes to create your dev space with bash tool. So what we will be doing now, our goal will be to create a very simple application. The goal is to not learn Go language. The goal is to just relate to what we saw today in the training. What we saw, what is Cloud Foundry, just to have a basic understanding and deploy our first application to see what's going on. So for this, we will create this project. To do that in the bash tool, we will run first cd space projects directory. All the projects should be created in the projects directory in Cloud Foundry in the bash tool. Then we will create here mkdir command my first project. You can name anything to this directory. So a project is nothing but a directory in the computer. We are creating a directory. Then you have to just click on open project button, open workspace button, or open folder button on the bash tool, and then open projects folder. This will reboot the bash tool, and what you will see in the bash tool is you can see a projects folder workspace, and you see this project. Yeah, so it's empty, there's nothing in it. And then what we do is we go to day one material. We have this app here. I'm going to drag these 3 files, just these 3 files, and then drag it, go to bash tool, and drop it on the projects directory. So again, I repeat, my goal is to not teach Go language, and that's certainly not a goal of this training. The goal is to understand how can I relate to the topics which I learned today, how Cloud Foundry working behind the scenes. So I taught you that there's a manifest YAML file, which is called descriptor file, which will tell what is the app name, how much memory this app I want to allocate when the app is getting deployed, and which is the runtime. So you can also put here the runtime. So you can say application type name. So you can also check the documentation for this on Cloud Foundry website. So SAP or Cloud Foundry manifest file. Yeah, so you can see here deploying application. So this is open documentation for Cloud Foundry, and you can see here all the details. So name of application, name is mandatory, other than that things are not mandatory. Then you can see the manifest attribute reference. I'll give you this link also, just in case somebody is interested to understand the complete manifest format. It has humongous number of property. I can conduct a 40-hour training only on this. And then you see memory, instances, metadata, processes, path, root, yeah, all these things, build packs. So this is the runtime. You have to mention which build pack are you planning to use. Okay, which runtime are you planning to use, which runtime will this. So it will also do one thing. If you do not specify the build pack or the runtime for this application, the Cloud Foundry is smart enough to determine based on the file extensions which runtime are we it is going to use. So it already has the Go runtime to run your Go applications. So by file extension .go, it will determine automatically the runtime if you don't specify the build pack here. But I will also show you in few seconds how to check the build pack, what runtimes does it support, and how to give that also. So that's something which we'll do later. But first, everyone, you have to create a project and drag drop all these files and just open the file. You can change the project name, my first project. Yeah, save it and keep it ready. So this is the first step for all of you, and next step will be deploying, be able to deploy this app. So in order to deploy this app, the very first thing you all have to do, make sure that the project is proper, and you go to terminal. There's nothing in this project, it's just a small thing. And now when you open a terminal, remember it will always go to projects directory. It is not inside your actual project directory. So you have to type ls to see the list of all the directories in Linux, Then these are basic Linux commands, like OS commands. Then we go to this directory, my, and I type tab. It will take the name. So I don't have to type or typo mistakes. Now I am in the project directory. Now I have to do cf space dash dash help. This is Cloud Foundry plugin. So you can see all the list of commands which it offers, like cf config, cf stop, start. You see cf marketplace, cf services, cf create service, delete service. Yeah. So these are the different commands which you can read here. You can also read on Cloud Foundry documentation. What is important for us is first to log in from this bash tool to our Cloud Foundry environment. To do that, we do cf login, enter. It will ask API endpoint. So this API endpoint is the account, actually, the account sub account URL. So that is our AWS in US region. So we don't know that. So we have to go back to our sub account. And in the sub account now, when you go, okay, it always keeps telling me session expire, session expire. So okay, let's reload. And here we will see the API endpoint. So every sub account will have different endpoints, my friends, because there are different regions and different data centers. So be careful with this API endpoint. Go inside the trial now, and you will see here, this is the API endpoint, which is visible in your sub account. We will just copy this. These are all bare minimum things to build any kind of cloud application going forward in your company. So now I paste that, enter. Email ID. So I'll enter my colleague's email ID. I'll enter my password. Remember, your password when you are typing, it's not visible, neither star is visible. So be careful. If you give wrong password, you have to do it again. Enter. It's authenticating, and you see invalid grant, unauthorized. Let me check what's the problem. Okay, it failed to log in. Let me just check. Let me try SSO option if it does. So temporary authentication code. So I have to just open this URL. I have to authenticate default IDP. This is the authentication code, and I have to paste here. Sometimes it doesn't work, so to paste. So I've copied it, I'm pasting it. Yes, it logged in now. So if it doesn't work with user ID password, you can open this URL, authenticate on a browser window, give you the code. That code you can enter, it will log in. Now it has logged in, it is connected to Cloud Foundry. So what I want to see, I want to first see what are all the runtimes which my Cloud Foundry account has. Okay, you can clear the console, and now you say CF space runtime or CS space build packs. Yes. So you see, what are all the runtimes it is supporting? It's supporting Java, Java versions 1.47, 1.4543. It's supporting Node.js build pack migrate, R language, Nginx, PHP, Python, Go language. Wow, this is the one which I wanted to use, guys, today. You see, .NET, Ruby, Java, static file, .NET Core. These are all the runtimes it supports. Awesome, awesome. So now I know that, okay, I can run a Go language program because it does support. I can manually mention this also in the manifest file, but as I told you, it is smart enough to detect the Go build pack. So next step is we do a CF space push. Yes. Now we will press enter, and you see the application is deploying. Let's read the logs, what is happening here. So you see it's first uploading the application. It's waiting for API to stage the application, and now it's detecting which build pack to use. Yeah. So somewhere it will use the you see Golang application instrumentation. See, it has determined automatically the Go language as the preferred build pack. Yes. Now what it will do, it will create a cell. Then it will create a, so you see it's saying creating container instance. Successfully created container instance. In that container instance, it is adding the runtime. Yeah, Go runtime. And in that Go runtime, it is going to put our application It will start the instance, and you can see the application is going to get starting instance. You see it is starting the instance of application, and it has started now. Wow. So how do I test? I get a URL here. It's a cloud native application. Remember, it's cloud like facebook.com. It will work anywhere in the world. Whole planet can use it. I will give you this URL. You all can test my application, which I just built in the cloud. And if I open and test it here in another session, wow, congratulations. Welcome to Anubhav Trainings. This is the message you get from my Go language. This will work anywhere on the world. Anywhere. You give it to your friends, colleagues, anyone. It is like facebook.com. It's a pure cloud application, public cloud application. That's the goal. That was the goal. You can make out also it is US 10 region, which we have also selected. And the build pack is Go build pack. It is automatically determined. Yeah. It is using 1 GB of memory. You can also check the application, deployed application in your dev space. When you go to your remember the application lives in the dev space, so here it is. You can stop, you can delete. Yes, it is taking 1 GB of disk quota and memory for this application. So that is what our first application. So you saw what we learned is what it is relating to. Goal is to not learn Go. Goal is to learn what we learned about the infrastructure, the foundry, the this is what it is happening behind the scene, what it is doing, how it's running your application. So now it's your turn. You have last 5 minutes for this exercise. Let me also write down the commands and then start the timer. So you have to go to cd space project directory, whatever project directory is. You have to do cf login and then enter your credentials and details. If not, then you can open the token thing and enter the token. Yes, next step will be you have to do a cf push command. If you want to check the available build packs, you can do cf build packs to check what runtimes does it support. This is the command you can type. Cf is a plugin which is pre-installed. So if we willing to do the same thing in local computer with VS Code, we have to install the CF plugin in our local computer. We can do all this in the VS Code also. We will probably see that in tomorrow's session, but we are already running out of time. Please complete this exercise. Now your time starts for 5 minutes.
Hello. Hi,
Yes.
Anubhav.
Yes.
Hi, yeah, Kalesh here. I have one question in the build packs. Can you go on to that BAS, the Studios terminal?
Yes, please.
So if you scroll up, you show us the build packs, right? The various build packs. So if I want to install a new, suppose for a MongoDB build pack, so it will be can be installed, right? For in the first place here itself
Okay. Yes. So
using
if you
CF
see
commands.
CF space
Uh-huh.
help, it will show you all the
Okay.
list of commands to manage plugins and build packs. So you can see CF marketplace, CF services, create service, update service, delete service, CF service, bind service.
Okay.
Yes. So there are commands to actually install the new build packs, and you just have to give the zip repository. Let me just try to install, let's say, a Ruby build pack. Install Ruby build pack in CF. Yes. So you can see here, Cloud Foundry build pack Ruby. So there will be steps to install the Ruby build pack. So you have to say go install the build pack address. I hope
Okay.
this is what it
And
should do.
this will be installed only for that particular dev space, right?
Yes, for that dev space exactly. Not for the
Okay.
developer, but in the entire sub account environment, it will be available for all the developers actually.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Yes, this is how we can check.
And okay. And
Anubhav,
so
yeah, please continue. Hello, hello, Anubhav.
Go ahead, please. Go ahead. I can hear you.
Yeah, suppose let's say you develop you have your application go up. So I am also deploying the same application. So will it conflict any name
No, it will not,
you know? I'm
because you are in your trial sub account. I am in my trial sub account.
Mhm. But how the namespace will distinguish in the runtime actually?
So if you notice in the URL, it gives a random route actually. So there is a random route which
Yes,
is marked as, also this property was marked in the in here in the manifest. You see random route was true. So it will,
correct,
even
correct,
two
correct.
developers developing on the same sub account, it will make sure that application name is not duplicated. If you notice the URL, it has put anxious word here, anxious puku. It has put this. I didn't give this. It is automatically done. This is my app name, and then this random route was automatically done and evaluated by this system. It will never
Correct, correct.
conflict.
Or instead of typing this command, also you can use this find command and try to do also the same
Yes,
way. Also you can do it, right?
yes, yes.
Thank you.
Mhm. Last 1 minute 30 second left. Please run your first Cloud Foundry application. Please put your URL in the chat window. Let me test it.
Anubhav, I have one more question.
Mhm.
Hello.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Anubhav. In the dev space, right? We